Hey, thanks for making it to Veterans Info Tap After Hours. I'm just painting some doors. Got 6 of them going, and just kind of doing one at a time. Do half, let it dry, flip it over, so on. Anyway, if you are watching this channel, chances are you probably watched my regular channel, which is Veterans Info Tap, and I really appreciate all of your support. Additional support over here. I guess this is just a different way of having a conversation, and I'm glad you made it. So, a couple things that have been on my mind anyway over the last, I don't know, week or so have been one, the big thing has been the Supreme Court. At least I think it's big. The Supreme Court decision, or not decision, opening arguments on the fact there'll be a decision in summertime of 2025, they're saying. So for those that don't know, the Supreme Court has taken on a veteran case. It's actually 2 different veterans who are arguing that the upper court, the U.S. Court of Veterans Appeals, did not fully look at, or even at all, the benefit of the doubt rule. Now, you may have heard that the VA has this thing where if the benefit of the doubt is in question, or if the evidence is equal, they're supposed to rule in your favor, thus the benefit of the doubt rule, giving you the benefit of the doubt. Now, the idea here is that the U.S. Court of Veterans Appeals has not even been looking at that as part of their, I guess, review, if you will. I think it's important here to understand a couple different things. One, the effects of this, even today, with just the fact that the VA has kind of stumbled through a claim, right? It gets denied, unfavorable, whatever it is, you get a lower rating, you appeal it to the Board of Veterans Appeals, then you kick it to the U.S. Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims. Even in today's world, with the fact that that has happened, and now the Supreme Court is taking a look at essentially the lower court, the U.S. Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims, I think is already going to have kind of a ripple in the water, right? An echoing effect. Judges don't want to be told they were wrong. You would hope, or you would think, right? Judges want to feel like I got it right. No judge out there, in my mind, feels good if their decision gets overturned by another body. So, my thought would be is that we have this pendulum now, this swinging pendulum, and maybe it wasn't quite over enough for the veterans' favor. Maybe they neglected it a little bit, and now it's going to swing back the other way. Now, the question that I have, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this, is if the U.S. Court of Appeals, which that's the furthest thing down the line, most people never go there. And so before we get there, let's talk about this real quick. What does it look like, the process of a claim, right? And I'm going to use the word unfavorable decision. Unfavorable decision. An unfavorable decision could mean that you disagree with the fact that they did not service connect you. It could be that they gave you a lower rating than you thought you should get based on the evidence that you supplied. It could even be back pay, right? You disagree with the amount of back pay. You think that it should have been further back for whatever reason based on the laws and so forth. You file a claim, you get an unfavorable decision. You could do, I'm going to just kind of go through just all of them. You could do a higher level review, let the VA review it. They still give you back an unfavorable decision. You could then supply additional evidence through a supplemental claim, which is cool. You know, you could do the supplemental claim and provide that additional evidence. I'm a fan of that. I think that's great. But now let's say it comes back again unfavorable. So now you have to decide, am I going to push it to the Board of Veterans Appeals? Okay, cool. So you push it to the Board of Veterans Appeals, the BVA. Now the BVA has it, and years go by the way, And now they give you an unfavorable decision. Your next step, your next course of action, and I highly recommend through this whole process, you're working with accredited reps, you're working probably with an attorney at this point, to make sure that you have your best chance of winning because you've already lost 4 times or whatever it is. So now it goes to the U.S. Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims. So the main focus of this Supreme Court case is on that court, the U.S. Court of Veterans Appeals, basically saying they need to check everything and see if evidence, in fact, was in equipoise, and if it was pretty close to equal on both sides, then they should have ruled in your favor. So they're pushing on that court for that. Now, my question is, are we going to see, for lack of a better word, more liberal decisions with regard to the benefit of the doubt rule now coming from the U.S. Court on Veterans Appeals, right? Just because this has already reached the Supreme Court, right? Just already the fact that it's there and being heard, are we going to start to see some sort of different actions? Are they going to implement a few things? Even if it's almost from an unconscious point, right? Not a, this is our new rules that we're going to follow, but just as a body, are they going to know that that's happening at the Supreme Court and actually start to weigh some of that stuff a little more carefully? Then it goes back to now we're working backwards, right? Now is the Board of Veterans Appeals, are they going to think that the U.S. Court on Veterans Appeals are going to be more liberal about it? So then are they then going to try to rule a little more in favor of the veteran because they're judges? They don't want their decision to be overturned by the U.S. Court of Veterans Appeals. And if that's the case, how does the VA like this, right? So does the VA like when their decisions get overturned by the BVA? No, it's mud on their face. It makes it look like they're incompetent. Then it leads into all kinds of, management and leadership issues, training issues, the VSR, all those people, all of that comes into play. So what you would want from the VA level, from a leadership perspective anyway, is a very low percentage of claims that actually get overturned, especially if there's no additional evidence given, right? So at least if it were me, if I were leadership within the VA, I would segregate 2 different piles, if you will, of claims that go to the BVA. Ones that had additional evidence supplied and ones that did not have additional evidence supplied. And I could explain away, from a leadership perspective, why the decision was different at the Board of Veterans Appeals, because they supplied more evidence there. If we would have had that, we could have, potentially made that decision. It's easy to say what you would have done if. So from a leadership perspective, you could look at it that way. Then you would want to look specifically at there was no additional evidence given, which is an option to go from, say, a supplemental claim with the VA to the Board of Veterans Appeals with, I have nothing else to supply. Look at it. And you tell me what you think, board. Well, now that's going to be an interesting number, because that's going to be a true number because they didn't apply any additional evidence. And now it's just this governing body saying you screwed up, VA, and you already had all the evidence. So the VA wants that number to be very small, at least you would think. And so with that, is the VA going to start to have those conversations with their employees about the benefit of the doubt rule, the fact that this is getting the spotlight shined on it? That's just questions. Love to hear your thoughts. Got to get to painting now. So anyway, thanks for watching. I appreciate everybody so very much. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.